We have two very special guests joining us live here on Davos Direct on ET Now. I've got Mr. Rahul Bajaj, a 38-year veteran of Davos, and his son Sanjiv, who's soon becoming a veteran too. But let's talk about the context this year. And this is an increasingly populist, increasingly protectionist world. Nobody saw Brexit coming. Nobody saw Donald Trump win elections. Do you believe this is a world that's increasingly inward-looking? And what will the impact of a world like this be?
Well, first of all, we have to see what happens. At the moment, because of Brexit, as you said, and Donald Trump has become the president-elect of the United States, and coming Friday on 20th, he will take his oath and become the president of the United States. So because that is the kind of statements he has been making, and the reasons why UK 52-48% voted to leave EU are very similar in terms of immigration, in terms of inequalities rising amongst the in America, the non-college educated whites,
right,
whose increments, whose salaries have not increased, adjusted for inflation for the last 30 years, etc., etc. So the TPP he wants to not get into, Trump. The NAFTA he wants to seriously renegotiate. So people say it's becoming a protectionist world, but nobody else has become protectionist as yet, to the best of my knowledge. Neither Europe, nor emerging market countries, nor the United States. We always had, in India, there's something called, in the mid-90s, something called Bombay Club, which was not protectionist, which was a very sensible club, but it was defamed by ET Now and people like you as protectionists. There was only sort of a one-member club, so it doesn't matter who that fellow was. But the point is, we wanted a level playing field. We wanted to have free but fair trade, and that's all that Mr. Donald Trump is asking for. So he's the second member now of the Bombay Club. That's all I can say.
So you're conceding, you're actually ushering him into the Bombay Club. But let's ask you, I mean, I agree with his point that it's only perhaps the US and the Britain that are talking protections, but those are the big, large economies in the world. Amidst this rising, the rising discourse over rising levels of trade barrier, what are the implications that you see have on markets like ourselves? I mean, we can't deny that there are these trade barriers that are coming up across the world.
Supriya, it's too early to talk about implications because we don't even know what kind of trade barriers are coming. What we've heard is a lot of comment, a lot of noise, a lot of election rhetoric. Of course, that's behind us now. We know what's happened 6 months after Brexit, after the Brexit vote. They're still trying to find their feet on what's the right direction ahead. So let us first see what comes out, and then we will be able to react, whether as a country or otherwise.
But will both of you deny, and this question comes both your ways, if Donald Trump's first press conference is anything to go by, he's willing to walk the talk on his election rhetoric. He's talking about that wall. He's talking about pharma and manufacturing staying within the US, which is not really great for our countries. You have a lot of friends here. But he's also talking about border taxes. I mean, he is prepared to walk his election rhetoric. Or do you believe...
came out, and I'm not the being supporter of Trump. Trump, I don't know him, or a detractor, but came out about his character, how he reacts, how he talks. If John Lewis, the extremely respected anti-apartheid fighter,
right,
said something about him, he made a strong statement, which I wouldn't
That's
have
right.
made,
Yes.
that he's not going to be a legitimate president. He should have let it go, and a lot of Democrats were against John Lewis for saying that. The way he replied, he has to reply to him as if he's a 10-year-old kid. So that's okay, all that he has said, and he has to do certain things. But the first thing he'll do, and he said, on Friday I'm getting sworn in. So my work will start from Monday. We have to celebrate for the next few days. My friend, his friend Atul Chaudhary has been invited to the White House on Sunday.
Right.
That is the
For the big
22nd. No, there are many big bashes, but for one big bash, because he is the Trump partner in Pune.
Right.
So the wall will come up. He's asking the Congress for money.
That's right.
Because Mexico is not that stupid to pay. But he said, I've said he'll pay. What's the difference? We'll make them reimburse. First, we will spend, because I don't want to wait for 1.5 years. That's what he said. So that will be the time required for negotiation.
That's right.
But who knows how they'll reimburse? The Mexicans remitting money to the U.S.?
So just taking a cue from him, do you believe he and his cabinet is really going to play the good cop, bad cop? The secretaries that he's gotten and some of the most eminent people, they're not taking this stance. They're taking very anti-electoral rhetoric stance.
And it's interesting you say that, because we've started hearing that now the last week or so, right? As some of these people His names have been announced by his team. And that's why I say it's too early to react. Yeah, reactions are all emotional at this point of time. I think we have to wait to see some clear policies coming out and then decide what is the appropriate reaction. And we'll see appropriate reaction from different parts of the world to that. It's too early, according to me.
So it's too early for that, but there's yet another discussion that we need to focus on, and we haven't heard your voice on this. And at the cost of upsetting you, I will still ask you that question. A lot of people in Davos,
what you like.
a lot
like.
of people in Davos are not debating, but they are talking about the demonetization exercise that happened in India. It's slowly beginning to return to normalcy. It's still some months away. Do you believe that exercise was warranted in the first place?
You have to ask Mr. Narendra Modi about that. He brought it out, nobody else. So I have no comment on that. And as everybody has said, no discussion on that by any means has started in Davos. Davos is going to start only today. Really tomorrow with President Xi. He's the one who officially opens it tomorrow at 11:10. And today, of course, certain things will take place.
Right.
So no discussions on that. But yes, a lot of discussion last 2 months in India. Because they're a little bit in FT and economists and all. And the international papers have been all very critical. One can say they may or may not have understood.
Mr. Bajaj, it has been very poorly implemented, even though it may have been...
Everybody says so. That everybody says so. Except for my friend Arun Jaitley, who said it's been implemented very, very well. Well, that's his view, and I don't agree with that view. And under the guise of secrecy, which was very successful, the people had to stand in line, etc. The notes were not enough, the 500 and low denomination notes. So those problems we know. The question is now, I think that's behind us. So I don't want to talk about that. It's a waste of time. And those who are supporters of Modi, well, they're very good. And those who are against him say, very bad. I don't belong in that category. I'm independent. I'm absolutely independent. So what matters is when we'll see and what benefit. The stock of black money, to the best of my knowledge, has gone. How much? 1 lakh was not returned, almost nothing was not returned, everything was returned. That's a matter of debate. Because even those were returned, they will be taxed. Not all is official, etc. Just as all is not black. Those are details I think will take a long time to know. The income tax people, not only Reserve Bank, how does Reserve Bank know it's official, unofficial? The income tax people will have to get in touch with the people who gave the money.
So are you here suggesting that the benefits of demonetization is either going to play out very long term, or they were perhaps a little exaggerated?
I didn't say it's exaggerated. Just because to make a good copy for ET now, you want to put words in my mouth, that's your problem, Supriya.
I'm asking you on
I
benefits.
didn't say that, and I don't mind saying that if I thought that. I always speak my mind.
Do you believe demonetization has benefits?
Obviously it can have. With the other thing that is following, the real estate bill has become an act, but the rules are being framed. The Benami transactions bill, maybe they'll do something further on black money abroad.Maybe they'll do something on gold. This was the stock, as I said. What about the flow? The black money which will be paid for elections. You think elections will... Much less black money will be required in UP, Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Manipur and Goa. And later on this year in Gujarat.
That's right.
So, but we'll still need some money. They will still ask people to pay money. And where will that money come from? People say, we have no money, pay by check. How many can pay by check from their companies? So, some advantages will be there, but the flow has to stop. And the generation has to stop. For that, the elections... What the government is doing, I fully agree, Parliament and Assembly, not the lower ones, should be simultaneous. And people are saying, but how will you avoid midterm? What does Germany do? Let somebody study that.
Right.
What's wrong with Germany?
And electoral politics will have to clean up for this to have its effect.
Partly.
Exactly. You're in this business. We have seen a consumption dent. When does that consumption come back? And in this whole exercise, do you believe the central bank, which was very revered across the world, the RBI, has been found a little wanting?
One, I feel most of the retail-led expenditure and consumption should come back in track in the next couple of months. We're already seeing, as I said earlier, Supriya, much shorter lines. A lot of money is back, and most of the money is back in the system. On the SME side of the business, I think it takes a few more quarters. How long, we'll have to wait and watch over there. But primarily, I believe, of course, this could have been executed better. Now, it's not the time to play blame game to see whether this is the RBI, this is the Finance Ministry, and frankly, I don't even know.
Right.
The important thing is to see how they're moving ahead.
But you do believe that the central bank could have perhaps been the face of this, could have perhaps done a better job. I mean, the RBI in its history has never been ridiculed. They have been criticized. But RBI is now being called the reverse Bank of
So
India.
don't say they could have done a better job. That's not relevant. Many people could have done a better job if you had consulted more people. With confidence, a lot of things could have been done in retrospect. That's not the point.
But the RBI...
The unfortunate part is I don't know the facts again. In a different context, that's what Sanjiv said. I don't know the facts. But the perception created is the reputation which all these years, in the last 3 years, was enjoyed by the central bank of ours, RBI, under Raghuram Rajan, has been dented. Maybe it's not fair to Urjit Patel to say that. So it's not a question of whether they could have done better. The perception is they were told to do. As he said, we received the guidance on the 7th.
Yes.
Then my board met and approved it. I mean, that statement from them itself speaks
Volumes.
volumes.
So, a final question on India before I move on to Xi Jinping, because that is really the big highlight here. The budget is obviously going to have a lot of sweeteners for digital economy, because that was where the push is, cashless, remonetization. What are some of your big expectations on that front?
Very clearly, if the government wants to keep pushing the digital initiative, and from everything that we are reading about, they want to, they have to create greater enablers. And this can be done in multiple areas, whether it's digital payment, whether it's incentivizing people to move away from the cash economy. We have to see what they do. But yes, I would hope to see a bunch of positive news around that.
So in Davos this year, your 38th year, you do see the first time a state head from China being here. How momentous is that? Xi Jinping?
Tremendous momentous. I mean, China has been represented by junior people at the most once a prime minister came. But it's not only the president of China coming, as important as that is Xi coming.
That's right.
Some other president may be okay. Here is the most powerful president since Deng Xiaoping. And his coming with a huge delegation. They've taken over 40, 50, 60% of the Intercontinental Hotel.
Yes.
And everybody else got thrown out because this is his first state visit to Switzerland. And so the government is behind him, so nobody can fight the government.
Right.
They may be able to fight World Economic Forum, but not the government of Switzerland. So it's, I think, momentous, and I can't speak for India, but India has been always very revered. This year it will be a bit in the less limelight. Sorry,
Because China will be in the limelight.
Let's
really.
face it, you can't have two big limelight people, and whether we deserved it or not, time will tell. And I can only hope, as a well-wisher of India, of course, and also of our Prime Minister, very good well-wisher, that next year or year after, but hopefully next year, he will come here as a revered guest of the World Economic Forum.
So
For the
rebalancing
good of
equations, it's very difficult to get two big people happy, but we finally managed to get both father and son on the show. Thanks very much, Mr. Bajaj, and Mr.
He's a
Bajaj
big
for being with us.
person.
All right,
I'm
on
a
that
small
note,
guy.
thank you very much.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow, and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.